Welcome back to another episode here in the Cozy Kitchen. We're about to start a new trend here in the Cozy Kitchen today. You go out to places, you can get a burrito bowl. You can get a breakfast bowl. Well, today we're gonna make a burger bowl. Stay with me here. So what does a burger come with? It comes with fries. So for the base of our burger bowl today is gonna be some roasted sweet potatoes. Imagine like sweet potato fries coming with your burger. And here in the Cozy Kitchen, I always like to try to use a leaner meat. So today we're gonna actually be making turkey burgers. These turkey burgers are gonna be influenced by the Italian flavors that I love to cook with. So we're gonna be using some pancetta, some Parmesan, some other spices that you might find in Italian cooking to help season that turkey, and we're gonna get that in the pan. You might see my friends over here. I got some onions. We're gonna top the turkey burgers with some caramelized onions. It's gonna all come together with some melted mozzarella cheese right on top, some roasted tomatoes, and finally a lemon basil aioli that's just gonna, to quote my husband, it is D to the lish. After you take your first bite of this burger, you're gonna say, who needs a bun? So let's get right to it. I'm excited to share the burger bowl recipe with you. It's fun to say burger bowl. Burger bowl, burger bowl. Try it at home. Let's get to it. Let's make some burger bowls. Just to give you an idea of what is going on right now in this kitchen, my oven is preheating at 425 degrees. I have a tray back there that I've just lined with some parchment paper. We're going to eventually put some tomatoes and garlic in the oven and get that roasting. But first, you're going to want one medium saute pan, which I have there on my stove. So that pan is going to want to have a little bit of depth to it. We're going to cook those turkey burgers in that pan right after we caramelize our onions. Before we start to slice up our onions, we're going to pour in 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil into that medium saute pan, raise the heat to medium, and just get that oil nice and fragrant. While that oil in the pan starts to raise in temperature, we'll slice up our onions into nice fine strips. And once that oil is ready, we'll throw in our onions. I just finished chopping up my onions. They got to me a little bit. I have 3 sweet onions that I sliced up into little strips. I like using the sweet onions because by caramelizing the onions and bringing out the natural sugars, it just makes the sweet onions that much sweeter. That pan that's been warming up over medium heat with the extra virgin olive oil, we're gonna toss in 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter. And then once that butter melts into that oil, we'll throw in our onions, give them a toss with our spoon before we add in a little pinch of kosher salt and allow the caramelization process to begin. Every once in a while, you want to go over to those onions and give them a stir. While those onions start to sweat, we can get our other ingredients ready. We're going to need 1 head of garlic that we're going to slice the very top off of. We're going to roast the garlic in the oven, and that roasted garlic is going to be part of our lemon basil aioli. I have my head of garlic right here. I wrapped it in some tin foil. I sprinkled the top of the garlic with a pinch of kosher salt and a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil. What we want to do is just wrap the garlic, having just a little bit of an air pocket at the very top. We're going to put this in the oven with our Roma tomatoes and get them roasting. So I have 2 washed Roma tomatoes right here. You want 1 Roma tomato for each bowl that you make. We're gonna slice this Roma tomato right in half, hit it with just a pinch of kosher salt, drizzle them with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, and then put that tray in the oven and get everything roasting together. I just put my tomatoes and garlic into the oven. They're starting to roast. My onions are still sweating out there in that pan. Make sure to just toss them around. You don't want to over toss them, but just give them a little hit every once in a while. Next thing we're gonna do is start to assemble our turkey burgers. With 1 pound of ground turkey, we're going to be making 3 turkey patties today. Here in this video, I'm going to be making 2 burger bowls. Here in this bowl, I have 1 pound of ground turkey. To the ground turkey, we are going to add a half a cup of diced pancetta. Pancetta is oftentimes used in Italian cooking. Burgers always taste better with a little bit of bacon, so that's why I like to add in the diced pancetta. The pancetta will add sort of that bacony taste without so much smokiness to the bite. To that bowl with the turkey and the diced pancetta, we are going to add 1 teaspoon of garlic powder. Next in that bowl, we're going to add a half a teaspoon of ground mustard. We're also going to need a half a teaspoon of dried thyme. Next for our turkey patties, we're going to add in 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. By adding in the tomato paste and the mustard, it sort of incorporates the ketchup and mustardy flavors that you're going to find in your typical burger. So I like to add in these kind of hints of flavors just to help flavor our turkey. The next thing that we're going to add in for our turkey patties is going to be some parsley. You can keep the stems included as well. The stems have a lot of flavor. We're just going to mince this parsley up and add about 1/4 of a cup into that bowl with the ground turkey and all those spices. The final thing that we're going to add into our turkey burgers is 1/4 of a cup of grated Parmesan cheese. Before we mix all these ingredients together, we're just going to hit these ingredients with a pinch of kosher salt and a pinch of black pepper, and then we're going to start to work our hands into that mixture. Make sure that all of our ingredients are incorporated evenly, and then divvy up this ground turkey into 3 equal patties. So I just pre-assembled my turkey patties. I have them here, 3 equal patties. They're about 1/3 of a pound each. We're just gonna set them aside and wait for our onions to finish caramelizing in that pan before we get our burgers in there. My onions that have been working in that pan, they're starting to stick to the bottom a little bit. Now is the perfect time to add in 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. That balsamic vinegar is not only gonna help us to get those onions from sticking to the bottom of the pan, but it's also gonna add a nice acidic sweetness to the bite of the onion. I have my burger patties here. They're ready to go in that pan. We're just waiting for those onions to finish caramelizing. Our tomatoes and garlic are still in the oven. They've been in there for a little over 20 minutes. Before we take them out, we can start to get our ingredients ready for our aioli. For our aioli today, the first thing that you're gonna need is 1 cup of fresh basil leaves. We can just add our basil leaves right into the blender, food processor, whatever you're gonna be using. No aioli can be made without some mayonnaise. So to that blender, food processor, whatever you're working with, you're gonna add in 1/2 cup of mayonnaise. The next thing that you're going to want for a lemon basil aioli is going to be 1 lemon. You're going to want the juice of 1 lemon, which we can add in with the basil and the mayo. After you add in that lemon juice, the next thing that you're going to want for your aioli is going to be that roasted garlic. Let's take our roasted garlic and our tomatoes out of the oven. They've been in there now for about 25 minutes. We'll set the tomatoes aside on a separate plate and add in that roasted garlic into the blender. All you have to do to get this garlic out is turn that garlic upside down and squeeze out the roasted garlic and add it in with all those other ingredients. You can keep your oven at 425 degrees because we're going to roast some sweet potatoes, which is going to be the base of our bowl. Before I get that aioli all mixed together, I'm just going to go ahead and check my onions out. I just added a little bit more balsamic vinegar to my onions to prevent them from sticking to the bottom. I also sliced up 2 sweet potatoes that I just cut into quarters, and they're about 1/4 inch thick. We're going to hit them with just a pinch of kosher salt, toss them in some olive oil, and then put them in that oven at 425 degrees and get these roasting as well. I just added my sweet potatoes into the oven. My onions are almost ready to come out of that pan. We're gonna get the aioli going and get it all mixing together. I have my mayonnaise, I have my roasted garlic, I have my lemon juice and my basil all here in my blender. We're just gonna hit it with a pinch of kosher salt and about 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil and get that to a nice smooth texture. It's perfect. We can put this aioli right into our fridge and set it aside until we're ready for plating at the very end. My onions have been going now in that pan over medium heat for about 40 minutes. We're gonna take out those onions. We're gonna add in 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter, another tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, and then toss those turkey burgers right into that pan and get them cooking. My tomatoes and my onions are both set aside. My burgers are there in that pan. I have my aioli all made. It's ready in the fridge. And finally, my sweet potatoes are in that oven. What other burger isn't complete without a little bit of lettuce? I have 1 romaine heart here. You want to make shredded lettuce. We're just going to set that shredded romaine aside until we're ready to assemble our bowl. My burgers have been going now for about 5 minutes in that pan. They're starting to turn nice and brown on the bottom, which means it's the perfect time to flip those burgers over and get them cooking on the other side. Once you flip those burgers over, you're going to see that that bottom has become a nice golden brown, filled with flavor from all those onions that were caramelizing in that same pan. After you flip that burger over, now is the perfect time to add some shredded mozzarella cheese right on top. I like to add about 1/4 cup of shredded mozzarella to each burger that I make. To help get that shredded mozzarella nice and melted, we're going to add on top our caramelized onions. Let's start to add those caramelized onions right on top of those burgers and get that mozzarella cheese melting on top. We are almost at that finish line. I just added my onions on top of those burgers. That mozzarella cheese has melted down onto the burgers. My sweet potatoes are now out of the oven. They're set aside right here, ready for our bowls to be assembled, and we are ready to start assembling our burger bowl. The very first step in assembling your burger bowl is adding in those roasted sweet potatoes. Next, we're going to top our roasted sweet potatoes with our turkey burgers, with our melted mozzarella cheese and caramelized onions. This alone I could dive right into. To this bowl, we're going to add in some shredded lettuce. You can add in as much as you want, and then we're going to finish it off with 2 of our roasted Roma tomatoes. The final thing that we're going to add on top of this is going to be our aioli, which we're just going to drizzle right on top. You can add as much as you want, so I'm just going to keep going. And this is it. We are starting new trends here in the Cozy Kitchen. This burger bowl is one of my favorite things to make. It's healthy. It's a go-to in this house, filled with flavor. It's savory. It's sweet. It hits all different notes. It's colorful. It's pretty. It's all the things. I can't wait any longer. I'm going to dive in. So here's a nice bite. You got the burger, the caramelized onion, the sweet potato, a little bit of lettuce, all here. There are so many deep flavors here in this bowl that we were able to create, first with those caramelized onions, then cooking the burger in that same pan, finishing it off with that aioli, those roasted sweet potatoes, and the tomatoes. It's literally having a burger without the bun. Burger bowl, that's where it's at. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you like this video, please give it a like. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button below. Thank you so much for tuning in. Go try a burger bowl out for yourself. See you soon, guys.